Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you're interested in learning about Muslims in Thailand, you've come to the right place. I've put together a comprehensive overview that covers everything from the historical roots of Islam in the country to the present-day experiences of Thai Muslims. We'll start by exploring how Islam first arrived in Thailand centuries ago and how it spread throughout the region. Then we'll look at some current statistics on the Muslim population, including the breakdown between Sunni and Shia communities. After that, we'll dive into the daily lives of Thai Muslims, discussing their typical activities and where they're most concentrated in the country. We'll also tackle some of the challenges faced by the Muslim community in Thailand, including economic and political issues. Finally, we'll examine the sensitive topic of Islamophobia in Thailand, looking at whether it exists, if there are any organizations promoting anti-Islamic sentiments, and how people are working to combat religious intolerance. It's a fascinating and complex topic, so let's get started. All right, let's dive deeper into the history of Islam in Thailand. It's a fascinating story that spans centuries. Islam first arrived in what we now call Thailand around the 13th century. This was during the time of the Sukhothai Kingdom, one of the early Thai states. The main carriers of Islam to this region were Arab and Persian traders who came by sea, following well-established maritime trade routes. These traders initially settled in the coastal areas of the Malay Peninsula, which is now part of southern Thailand. Places like Patani, which later became an important Muslim sultanate, were among the earliest areas to see Muslim influence. These traders didn't just bring their religion, they also introduced new goods, technologies, and cultural practices. Over time, Islam began to spread beyond these initial coastal settlements. Some local people converted, attracted by the teachings of Islam or seeing advantages in aligning with these influential traders. The religion gradually moved northward, though it remained most concentrated in the south. By the 15th century, several Muslim-ruled states had emerged in the region, including the Sultanate of Patani. These sultanates played a significant role in the spread and establishment of Islam in the area. They became centers of Islamic learning and culture, attracting scholars and traders from across the Muslim world. It's important to note that the spread of Islam in Thailand wasn't through conquest, as it was in some other parts of the world. Instead, it was a gradual process of cultural interaction, trade, and voluntary conversion. As the Thai kingdoms expanded southward, they incorporated these Muslim-majority areas. This led to a complex relationship between the Buddhist Thai monarchs and their Muslim subjects. Some periods saw relative harmony and autonomy for Muslim communities, while others were marked by tension and attempts at forced assimilation. During the 19th and early 20th centuries, as modern Thailand took shape, the government tried to integrate the southern Muslim regions more fully into the Thai state. This sometimes led to resistance and calls for autonomy or independence. Throughout this long history, Thai Muslims developed their own unique cultural identity, blending Islamic practices with local traditions. This is especially evident in the distinctive culture of the Thai Malays in the south, who maintain strong connections to both their Islamic faith and their Malay heritage. Today, Islam is recognized as one of the major religions of Thailand, with a history stretching back over 800 years. This long presence has deeply influenced the country's cultural, social, and political landscape, especially in the southern regions, where Islam first took root all those centuries ago. Let us now examine the demography of Muslims in Thailand, focusing on the numbers and distribution of different Islamic sects. According to the most recent official census data, which was conducted in 2010, Muslims make up approximately 4.9% of Thailand's total population. Given Thailand's population of around 69 million people, this translates to roughly 3.38 million Muslims in the country. However, it's worth noting that some Muslim organizations and researchers estimate the number to be slightly higher, possibly closer to 5 to 6% of the population, or up to 4 million people. The vast majority of Muslims in Thailand, around 99%, are Sunni Muslims. They primarily follow the Shafi'i school of Islamic jurisprudence, which is common in Southeast Asia. This means that out of the estimated 3.38 million Muslims, approximately 3.35 million would be Sunni. The Shia population in Thailand is very small, making up less than 1% of the Muslim population. This would translate to roughly 30,000 to 40,000 Shia Muslims in the country. Most of these Shia Muslims are concentrated in Bangkok and are often of Persian or South Asian descent. It's important to note that within the Sunni majority, there are various subgroups and movements. For instance, there's a significant presence of the Tablighi Jamaat, a Sunni Islamic missionary movement, especially in the central and northern regions of Thailand. There's also a small community of Ahmadiyya Muslims, though they're not officially recognized as Muslims by many Islamic authorities. Their numbers are estimated to be in the low thousands. When it comes to geographical distribution, the Muslim population is not evenly spread across Thailand. The southern border provinces, particularly Pattani, Yala, and Narathiwat, have the highest concentration of Muslims, where they form the majority of the population, in some areas up to 80 to 90%. Outside of the south, there are significant Muslim communities in Bangkok, especially in certain districts like Nongchok and Minburi. There are also Muslim populations in other major cities and in some rural areas across the country. It's worth mentioning that the Muslim population in Thailand is growing at a slightly faster rate than the overall population, due to higher birth rates and some immigration from neighboring Muslim-majority countries. These numbers and distributions play a significant role in shaping the social, cultural, and political dynamics of Islam in Thailand. They influence everything from government policies to cultural practices and interfaith relations across the country. All right, let's dive into the daily lives of Muslims in Thailand and where they're primarily located. Thai Muslims, like their Buddhist counterparts, are spread throughout the country, but they're most heavily concentrated in the southern provinces. In places like Pattani, Yala, and Narathiwat, Muslims make up the majority of the population. We're talking about 80% or more in some areas. These provinces have a distinct cultural feel, with a strong Malay influence in language, cuisine, and customs. In these southern regions, Islamic culture is very visible in everyday life. You'll see lots of mosques, Islamic schools, pondoks, and hear the call to prayer 5 times a day. Many women wear hijabs or other traditional Islamic dress, and it's common to see men in traditional Malay-style clothing, especially on Fridays or during religious holidays. Now, when it comes to daily activities, it really depends on where you are. In the south, many Muslims work in agriculture.